2026 is setting up to be a year that could have huge ramifications for the rule of law and how the federal government functions. President Trump's first year in office and his time back at the helm of the executive branch brought a flurry of federal cases and legal challenges, many of which will be decided in this new year. NBC News legal analyst Misty Marris joins us now to break down some of the biggest cases we have coming up. Misty, good morning and Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
So in 2026, the Supreme Court is set to review Washington v. Trump, which of course deals with birthright citizenship. A federal court issued a preliminary injunction blocking the president's executive order that sought to limit birthright citizenship. So a date for the argument's not set, but what kind of case do you expect each side to make here?
So this is going to be of huge consequence, and it's going to change case law. If the Supreme Court rules in favor of the administration, we're talking about going back to 1898. That's the controlling case. And really, this case is about an executive order the Trump administration handed down, which says birthright citizenship will not be granted to the children of people who are here illegally or here temporarily. This is a major shift and a major change from hundreds and hundreds of years, which basically was automatic citizenship for those who were born on U.S. soil. So this is a huge consequence. It's a case where we're really going to be looking to the oral arguments, which will be scheduled soon, to see where the judges are pushing back and kind of read the tea leaves about which way this might go.
So it wasn't just this issue. President Trump sought to expand his presidential power time and time again. We saw this on so many different issues. And a lot of these efforts are now before the Supreme Court or will go before the Supreme Court. What other cases and decisions do you think will have the most impact this year?
There are so many that are going to be of tremendous impact. And one thing that we've seen throughout 2025 is the use of what's called the emergency docket or the shadow docket. And it's called the shadow docket because it's as mysterious as it sounds. And those cases were basically temporarily pausing actions by the administration or allowing them to go forward in what was an emergency basis. And the Trump administration was victorious in a lot of that. But now these cases are going to be decided on the merits. And that's a huge difference because that's going to be the law of the land. So we're looking at the case regarding tariffs. We saw the oral arguments on that. The court seemed highly skeptical. But what will that mean? Will the administration pursue a different legal path than the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which is the basis for seeking to impose these tariffs basically unilaterally by the president? That's a huge case. Also, the firing of the Federal Trade Commission, Rebecca Slaughter, we heard oral arguments on that. That's on the emergency docket. That's going to reshape the administrative state and these independent administrative agencies. So these are of a tremendous consequence in the coming year.
Huge case here in New York that captivated the attention of the country, Luigi Mangione. He is facing both state and federal charges in connection to the murder of CEO Brian Thompson of UnitedHealthcare. How do you anticipate things will go here?
Well, this is wild because we just got over covering almost a 2-week evidentiary hearing, the type of hearing that would usually take a day to 2 days at most. And there was such tremendous interest in that. So that's going to largely shape the case. The judge has asked the parties to brief their positions on the evidentiary matters, whether certain evidence is going to come in. We're probably not going to get a decision on that until April. In the meantime, that's the state case. The federal case is being challenged by the defense. They're asking for the death penalty to be taken off the table. They're also challenging the legal theory behind those federal charges, which is different than the state. So, if all things considered, we'll probably see the state case going first, maybe in the second half of 2026, earliest. And then the federal case, if the death penalty is on the table, that's significantly down the road because that will be a capital case. There's a lot more at play when you're talking about getting into the courtroom on that.
It doesn't matter when it will happen. All eyeballs will be on it when it does. And then finally, let's talk about the Epstein files. Seems like this will remain a headache for the DOJ in the new year.
Yes, there has been whiplash with the Epstein files, to say the least. And just, 2 days ago, there was another announcement from the DOJ that 1 million more documents have been identified that weren't identified before. So what are the goals? Potentially identify co-conspirators and bring charges that aren't barred by the statute of limitations. If I'm Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, I'm saying 1 million new documents. Why didn't we have them before trial? She could maybe use that as an avenue to try and overturn her conviction, one she has not pursued. And then there's a general issue with this type of law transparency. and that's great. The public wants to know what happened with Epstein. But disclosing these documents that are usually kept behind closed doors for prosecutorial decisions, grand jury material, what impact will that have on cases moving forward and investigations, informants willingly speaking to the government to bring these cases? So this case has an impact just beyond Epstein and the questions surrounding him. It has an impact just overall in the criminal justice system.
We will all be busy in 2026.
Yes, we will be.
Misty, great to have you today. Thanks so much. Happy New Year.